Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. How's everybody doing this fine summer day? Typical day for me. Went down to the park, walked a little bit this morning, came back, had 64 ounces of watermelon juice, and just starting to get into my work day. And wanted to go ahead and do a video and get that done early in the day. Yesterday doing that what I eat in a day video, I taped it throughout the whole day, so it didn't finish up until 4. Today I want to talk about a plant-based diet, raw vegan lifestyle, and where to start. I do videos every day, so if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button and then come back and watch some more of my content. Then click on that little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. YouTube's unsubscribing people again. So where do you start in this whole thing? I like to go back and forth. I like to do a lot of beginner videos over and over and over and over because, there's new people constantly watching and the message just bears repeating because, when people struggle, there's no shame in taking a step back. There's no shame in taking a step back, reevaluating, and sometimes even having to break it down and start over. I know in a lot of different endeavors in life that I've had to do that approach. It's not always fun. Sometimes it bruises the ego a little bit when you've been doing something for a while, but sometimes the best value you can get is just, stepping back and seeing as how people are constantly struggling on this lifestyle when it should be natural. This lifestyle, I'm going to be real honest with you about plant-based and raw vegan in general, in my opinion. The whole lifestyle should be natural. There should not be this white knuckling it, fighting addiction, day in, day out struggle to it. And I think the reason we see this constant day in, day out struggle that people seem to have is they're just not understanding the process, and they don't have a smart plan. They don't have any sort of a process. They're just kind of, like I always say, they're trying to do this like we've always done diets. Like, we went and bought the book, the Scarsdale diet or the Mediterranean diet, and that's just not the way this lifestyle is done. I believe there's a progression, and if there's a little bit of a patience to your progression, a little bit of reality in there, like you really, admitting to yourself where you're at and you need to go a little slower, a little faster, that this should be an effortless lifestyle. Because if you're progressing properly, in my opinion, it just flows. It just flows because you're ready for it. You're ready for it. You're not fighting things. And this is why I'm always, like I say, there's always the few people that come in and say, yeah, I did everything overnight. They went from, I was a heroin addict, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, eating meat 5 times a day, and I went straight overnight. Well, kudos to you if you can do that, but most people, it's going to take them a few steps. Now, I'm not into this whole baby step thing, but I'm also not into just throwing somebody who doesn't even know how to swim in the deep end, or not even in the deep end, in the creek with a big current going on. There's a better way to do this. So I always recommend, in the beginning, focus on getting to plant-based. Don't even think, unless it just really comes easy for you and you are one of the people that just naturally takes to it. And I'm not saying hold back if your body does call for eating raw foods, but in the beginning, please, 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 just focus on getting to plant-based first. Just feel like you're dragging yourself there. However you get there, whatever version that takes, get to plant-based first. Drop that dairy, drop the meat, drop the eggs, and then don't even think about the raw part until you get completely plant-based. Now, once again, like I'm saying, I'm not saying as you're switching from standard American diet to being plant-based, don't eat any raw food. No, of course not, but that's not your focus in the beginning. Your focus is to get off those animal products, which have a strong pull on you because most likely, if you're like most of us, you may not be as old as me, but you've been eating this way for decades. You're used to this type of food. It is ingrained in you. It's ingrained in you culturally. It's ingrained in your body. Your body calls out for it. So for some people, it takes a while to get rid of the animal products. For me, I didn't think of the animal products as being that big of a deal. For me, it's always just been like, if I can keep myself full, if I can keep myself satisfied, the particular cravings and the particular things I still want, but I was able to fight those off. So go plant-based first. Now, I would say as you go plant-based, if you have to, get to plant-based in any version, whatever. If you're a junk food vegan, whatever you're eating, processed food, whatever, get to plant-based. Step two, I would say, is to eating whole plant-based foods. Real fruits, real vegetables, cutting out more of the processed food. By processed, listen, I'm not being a fanatic. I'm not being literal. Every time I mention processed, there'll be somebody that'll ask a question like putting 3 ingredients in the Vitamix or the blender is not what I consider processed, although technically by definition, yes, it has been processed. I'm talking about things comes in packages from stores, 15, 20 ingredients, 3/4 of them you can't even pronounce. Just going toward making healthier choices, even if you're still there eating cooked food, eating the whole grains, eating the sweet potatoes, eating quinoa, eating brown rice, but eating real food, eating vegetables, eating corn, eating broccoli, but eating vegetables and fruits. And cutting down on that processed stuff. You can also be cutting down on your oils and your salt and working on getting better, healthier fats into your diet. The oil is never going to be good for you. I can't say I'm a teetotaler. I will probably touch some oil, every so often, but it's definitely not a part of my, day to day. So just start there. Get to plant-based, get to whole food plant-based, and just start cleaning. Cleaning from there, smaller increments. You're cleaning once you're on the whole food plant-based part of the diet, and you're getting cleaner. You're eating more raw food. You're going a little bit more low fat, and your body is naturally adapting to this. So as you move forward, it feels natural. You're not fighting something. You're not making this big jump into something that you're not quite ready for, and you're constantly uncomfortable and you just can't quite make it work. You're progressing. You're letting your body is cleansing itself. It's moving down, and you get cleaner and you get cleaner, and then you keep just adding a little bit. Increments will get you there. Even if you just go little by little, day by day, so what? 6 months later, you're fully raw, if you want to be fully raw. And like I said, if you've been doing this for decades, I would say 6 months is not that big of a deal. Even if it takes you a year to get to where you want to, compare that to the time that you have been doing whatever you've been doing. Now, if you can do it better, somebody will always say, yeah, but that's a year of eating that. Well, okay, then do it. But if you can't do it, don't just keep beating your head up against the wall like saying, I'm going to be a fully raw vegan, beat my head against the wall, and that's counterproductive. You're not ready to be a fully raw vegan, and by trying so hard to be so extreme that way, it keeps knocking you back, and when you get knocked back, you make really poor choices. So you're like, I always use that analogy, you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time. I don't care if you just crawl in an inch. Just imagine if you got out in your yard. There's some people can run. You can do nothing other than crawl on your belly. As long as you're always going forward, But definitely, work on the plant-based first, because the plant-based is good for the animals, it's good for the planet, it's good for everybody. It's good for you just to get to that, to get those animal products out of your life, then move on down the line. Cleaner and cleaner cooked plant-based, more and more raw as you go in there. And when you do it like this and you keep your body fed all the time, and throughout this whole process as you're going from wherever you're starting, if you're starting all the way at the worst of the worst standard American diet and you want to go to the best, like fully raw, never eating cooked, it's going to be a progression, and it's going to be easier if you follow that when you're ready, and your body will let you know. And when it follows that natural progression, there's no effort to it at all, there's no stress at all, there's no struggling, there's no trying to do it, you just simply do it. But people, I don't know, that's not a sexy enough message. It's not one of those exciting messages. People like that. I mean, look at marketing and whatever. You want that. 4 weeks to a better body, 4 weeks to lose 60 pounds, 30-day detox, which is going to solve everything. It's going to clean everything out of you that you've accumulated in 50 years. As a society, we want things now. We want it fast. We actually want it yesterday. But that's just not the way our body works. And hey, more power to you. I always say whatever works, I'm not going to argue with. If you can do the fast track, if you can go straight to being raw vegan, do it. If you can, always get to the best level you can get to, but it's about getting there. And it's about getting there and sustaining and being there long term. Like I keep saying, and this is the biggest cliche out there, I hate using it over and over. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We're not in some hurry to get to a certain point, whether it's 100% raw, a certain level of health, a certain weight. It's about getting to a lifestyle. It's getting to a place it's getting to a place of health that we can live every day. It's not about, times or how fast or how much. It's about this, it's a lifestyle. That's the word I'll end with. It's a lifestyle. And when you think about that, when you really think about lifestyle as opposed to diet, you will think long term, and you will just think like, okay, once I get there, it's like, okay, you're going to take a train somewhere. One train is really slow. Maybe whatever it is, wherever we're going, destination A. You do have a faster train that can get you there in 6 hours. You have a super slow train, it'll get you there in 12 hours. There'll be some delays, but it'll get you there, and you're there 6 hours later. So anyhow, I'll stop rambling about that. I think you get the point. Hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see y'all again tomorrow. Peace.